Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 8 of Season 10 NNSCRA Walmart Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, a.k.a. Thrash Maniac 99, the voice of NNSCRA Walmart Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Music City 400 here at Nashville Superspeedway, where we are getting set for 38 laps of racing at this 1.3 mile racetrack. Should make for some interesting racing, and this is only the second time we've come here. We went here last year for the first ever Tennessee Trifecta, as we have reached the finale of that Tennessee Trifecta. So we'll see how it comes around this time. But before we take a look at the lineup, let's look at how the top 10 and the points look coming in this week. Pichu London retook the points lead after a great race last week at Tennessee Superspeedway. Second is Chase Oliver. Third is Austin Mongold. Fourth is Chris Washer. Fifth is Charles Sanford. Sixth is Jesse Setti. Excuse me. Seventh is Carson Gum. Eighth is Michael Norman. Ninth, Zach Rogers. 10th, Dylan Young. So that is how the top 10 of the points look coming into the race tonight. So, could see a lot of shake-up here tonight as a result. But let's look at how the lineup looks. Starting in the last row is Dorian Facepuncher and John Cittadino. Starting in the top 10, Connor Morgan is on the pole for this week. Starting next to him is Trent Dunham. Row 2 is Tweenix Racing teammates Carson Gum and James McLeod. Row 3 is Chris Washer and Kyle Matthews. Row 4, David Rivera and Joshua Collard. And then row 5, Tim Walsh and Jesse Setti. So, with that being said, let's get the command to fire engines for the Music City 400 at Nashville.
Drivers, start your engines.
And Ellen DeGeneres has returned yet again. When will it end? I don't think it ever will. Pace cars going off a pit road to do their one pace lap. Connor Morgan in his typical a.k.a. car. Trent Dunham this week running a Bass Pro Shops 2005 car. But when we get to Darlington, he will run the retro Pennzoil car for that race, because that race will see retro paint schemes all over the place. Pace car into pit road, which means it is time to go boogity boogity boogity! Let's go racing! Well, Connor Morgan leads the first lap, and he's pulling away from second place, which is right now Carson Gum. But here comes Chris Washer with a run to the inside. Couple cars on the pit road, maybe for pit strategy. Charles Sanford and Dorian Facepuncher. Now, it looks like almost like last week at Tennessee Superspeedway, a few cars got held up because of not being together on the start of the race, or at the start before the race started, and they got kind of backed up a little bit. But it's not nearly as bad as it was last week. Like, they're all still within range of each other, just separated. Back up at the front, Connor Morgan still leads. Kyle Matthews moving into second. He's going to try and run down the 81, and he is running him down. Tim Walsh now all the way up from 9th to 3rd already. Nathan Hudson, look at him go. Steven Guerrero's up here. Dylan Young is trying to get in there as well. PJ Williams, this has been the first start he's had in a couple weeks. He has missed the last couple of races. But hopefully he can come out with a good finish here today in order to get him closer to that top 30 in the points. Connor Morgan leads now by only 0.3 of a second over Kyle Matthews. Kyle Matthews trying to go for his first win this season. Connor Morgan trying to go for his first win of his career. And the caution is out. Wonder what it's for. Oh my goodness! Big crash! And James Qualls goes upside down and more cars piled in. Charles Sanford, Dorian Facepuncher involved. Johnny Gardner, Zach Flickinger. Anthony McCrory was in it. John Cittadino. Carson Scott. Alex Ferranti was involved. Carson Gum got some damage from something. Oh, more damaged cars. Tanner Sullivan and Benjamin Miles. Although everybody, it looks like everybody is coming into pit road. Any takers of staying out? That's the question. No, it looks like everybody's going to be on pit road. So we're going to stay on to this battle out of pit road to see who's going to come out first. We're going to go to the pit lane 1 cam to see what's going to happen. Connor Morgan, the leader, and he's going to have the first pit stall. That's the luxury of starting on the pole, is getting the first pit stall. Although it looks like Trent Dunham's got some damage too, so maybe it was a stack up with him and Carson Gum. But Chris Washer actually getting out first. Always some strategy. Some cars going 2 tires. Some cars going 4 tires. Interesting strategy, and now Chris Washer is going to have the lead when we get back to racing. But let's take a look and see what brought the caution out for the first time tonight here at Nashville after a wild wreck. Well, what you're going to see is probably one of the longest wrecks we have ever had in the history of Walmart Cup Series. Right there, Michael Norman gets tied off the corner and comes up into Jessica Sheldon, and in turn turns James Qualls around, and then right there's where Alex Ferranti gets involved. Look at all those cars go by on the inside, but right there Benjamin Miles gets into Zach Flickinger. And then more cars are going to get in here in a moment. Right there, Johnny Gardner, Tanner Sullivan, and wow, there was the big hit from Carson Scott into the 70, and then Charles Sanford, Dorian Facepuncher, just came out of pit road, and then right there a hit from the 62 into the 70, and then Charles Sanford, I think he gets into the side of Zach Flickinger's machine. But let's watch whenever Gardner and Sullivan and McCrory get in there. Right there come some hits. Zach Rogers, Sean Galligan, all those guys on the inside did a great job to miss it. But yeah, the wreck started pretty much off of turn 2, ends in the middle of 3 and 4. But it was a long wreck because it took quite a good bit for all these cars to be involved. Oh, and then up ahead we had, I figured something went up with the whole Carson Gum situation. Let's see what happened here. Oh, coming off of 4. Let's rewind a little bit and take a look at this portion of the crash. They were in the middle of 3 and 4, and right there, Carson Gum gets tight, gets into Tim Walsh, and then turns down into Steven Guerrero. And then Steven Guerrero just decided he just was not too happy with the 32, and he ends up getting into the apron and ends up turning the 32 around. And that's going to send the 32 back up the racetrack into the outside wall, and right there's where Trent Dunham gets his damage. I was trying to figure out as to what happened with those two cars, as to why they had damage, but I guess we now know. Steven Guerrero was not too pleased with the 32 turning down in them, and wow, Austin LaPlante barely gets into the 32. Hopefully that doesn't put him out of the race, but I don't know. Stranger things have happened in racing. But and then everybody's getting on the pit road. But with that said, let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Nashville. Well, after that first caution, numerous cars are out of the race, and they include Tanner Sullivan, Anthony McCrory, Zach Flickinger, Alex Ferranti, James Qualls, Johnny Gardner, John Cittadino, Carson Scott, Charles Sanford, and Dorian Facepuncher. So with that said, Chris Washer is your race leader. Second is Seth Cole. Third is Chase Oliver. Fourth is Connor Morgan. Fifth is Kyle Matthews. Sixth is Nathan Hudson. Seventh, Steven Guerrero. Eighth, David Rivera. Ninth, Tim Walsh. 10th, PJ Williams. 11th is Kevin Shearer. 12th is Matt Skoenberger. 13th, Jesse Setti. I don't know why they're all spread out for. I'm not entirely sure as to what has been going on lately with these restarts, as to why they're so spread out. But either or, Chris Washer is your race leader. As we look around to see how the field has looked after all that separation, and it looks like they're all relatively close. It was just a big confusion over real estate on the racetrack. And that happened last week at Tennessee Superspeedway, so I'm not entirely sure as to what's been the deal with these separations on the restarts, or even the start of the race, for that matter. Chris Washer leads, but now here comes Chase Oliver, and whoa, nearly contact between those two. Chase Oliver leads him at the line. So now Chase Oliver is your leader, and he's trying to go for his second win this season. He won back at, I can't remember what, I think it was Bristol, actually. It was Bristol that he dominated and won, so he won the first of the 3 Tennessee Trifecta races last week at Tennessee Superspeedway. I actually can't even remember who even won, but, yeah. No, actually, it was Seth Cole who won last week. Now I remembered. So Chase Oliver trying to go for his second win in the Tennessee Trifecta and the second of the season, but he's got Kyle Matthews coming in hot. Steven Guerrero's even up here, and as well as his teammate Connor Morgan, who led earlier. Actually, all 4 of the Team Heel Motorsports cars are running in the top 11, with Skoenberger in 11th. And then a battle for the, looks like the... Whoa! Near contact with... Nearly a wreck with David Rivera and Chris Washer, but man, that was close. But anyways, like I was going to say, Connor Morgan right now would be 5th. And then you got Chase Oliver running in 3rd, Steven Guerrero 2nd. So all 4 of the Team Heel Motorsports cars are running very well. Oh, careful, guys. They were running dangerously close and 3 wide with PJ Williams, Nathan Hudson, and Tim Walsh. Chris Washer falling way back. Excuse me. Kyle Matthews right now leading the way. But he's about to get fire from behind by 2 of the Team Heel Motorsports cars. Chase Oliver, Steven Guerrero. Chase Oliver utilizing that groove to go by Steven Guerrero for 2nd. Now he wants to try and run down the 94. As we continue to look around to keep an eye out for any slow machines. And I think the only ones that are relatively off the pace are Benjamin Miles and Trent Dunham. Although Benjamin Miles is keeping up with everybody somehow. I don't know, maybe Benjamin's up to speed. Or maybe not, maybe he's only a mile or only 1 or 2 miles per hour off of everybody, but he's still keeping up somehow. Trent Dunham, on the other hand, really off the pace. Carson Gum still up to speed. But anyways, as we are approaching halfway, next time by it'll be halfway through the Music City 400, and Kyle Matthews leads the way. Chase Oliver now trying to get a run on the inside of the 94 for the lead, and here he comes. Although Kyle Matthews is holding his own on the high lane, close at the line, but it does go to Chase Oliver. Imagine if that would have been the finish. That would have been exciting, as we are now halfway through the Music City 400. David Rivera running right behind his good friend Steven Guerrero. Battle for third. Actually, 4 of the top 5 are all good friends from the YWC that are in this series. Chase Oliver, Steven Guerrero, David Rivera, and Connor Morgan. And look at Matt Skoenberger. He's now cracked the top 10. Although he did just lose a spot to Nathan Hudson, so he falls back to 8th. But what a performance tonight by the Team Heel Motorsports cars. Currently running 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 8th. Chase Oliver still leads, and he's pulling away from the 94. And the battle for third continues between the 6 and the 8 car. And now David Rivera is going to get the run off of 4 in order to get by. But let's see if he can get cleared of him right here in the middle of 3 and 4. And it looks like he does. Up to third now is David Rivera. Connor Morgan kind of just watching from behind to maybe time his moves of when he wants to start going as far as making moves for higher spots. PJ Williams kind of doing the same thing. Same with Matt Skoenberger. Battle for 10th as Seth Cole's got a run to the inside of Nathan Hudson. Matt McIntyre watching that from behind. Look at Benjamin Miles. He's still up. I guess he is somehow still up to speed. He's trying to get by Austin LaPlante. But he's not really having very much luck with that. So I'm guessing the only car that's relatively not up to speed is Trent Dunham, and he just now crossed the start-finish line, and now Chase Oliver did the same thing, so they might catch Trent Dunham within the next couple of laps. And when that happens, Trent could end up holding up Chase Oliver, and that can help these guys running behind him get right up to the 68. Kyle Matthews still running second, but he's running a way higher lane. Not sure if that's a good idea because David Rivera is now right to the back bumper. And I saw 3 wide. That's 3 wide for, looks like, the 10th spot. That was 3 wide with Matt McIntyre, Nathan Hudson, and Chris Washer. And now Matt McIntyre nearly gets into Seth Cole, and he moves him on by, and that would be for the 9th spot. And Chase Oliver is reeling in the 1 car, who looks like the only car that's not up to speed after getting into that crash in the beginning of the race. David Rivera trying to find a way around the 94, and he nearly had it, but he had to back out of the throttle to keep from wrecking the 94. And now Chase Oliver's now going to go by Trent Dunham, and it looked like he got by without any problem, and in fact pulled away a little bit from the 94. But now here comes everybody else up to Trent Dunham. What's Trent going to do? So far, Trent's doing a good job of letting everyone go. Whoa! Connor Morgan! Holy cow! Got tied up off the corner and gets into Trent Dunham, and now he's stuck behind the 1 car. That just ended up costing the 81 a whole lot of time. But man, that was a close call. That was almost a crash waiting to happen, but we somehow avoided disaster. Look at this battle going on between two Dodge Chargers, Joshua Collard and Zach Rogers. Chase Oliver still leads the way, but not by a whole lot of distance. Kyle Matthews still trying to reel in the 68. And he is starting to reel him in, but does he have enough time to catch him up all the way at this pace? I don't think so. But you gotta wonder, when these cars pitted on lap 8, do they have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race? That's gonna be another big question. Are these guys good on gas, or will they have to pit again? I'm not sure. I just can't get over the success right now of Team Heel Motorsports in this race. They're running 1st, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Margin of the lead now. Yeah, Kyle Matthews is definitely catching the 68, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get around him for the lead. But he is a half a second behind, but he's got 6 more laps to make up big-time ground if they're good on fuel for the rest of the race. See the margin this time. It actually grew, so the 68's growing that lead now. And David Rivera's trying to catch up to the 94 to try to get to 2nd. And we might see a battle for 4th ensue between teammates Steven Guerrero and Connor Morgan. As far as any slower machines, I don't think they're going to catch anybody now, so that's a good sign. Margin of the lead still the same, and it's 4 laps to go. And they ran nearly identical lap times, just Kyle Matthews 1/1000th of a second faster, but that's not even a pimple on the rear end of Chase Oliver, if you ask me, but we'll see. Because like I said, do they have enough gas? 3 laps to go here at Nashville. And the lead got bigger by a little bit there. And actually, Connor Morgan has gone around Steven Guerrero for the 4th spot. Matt Skoenberger kind of watching from afar, watching his teammates race really hard. Oh, Chase Oliver had to pit! Chase Oliver had to pit! Holy cow! That's going to shake things up. That is a heartbreak for the 68. He thought he was going to have this race in the bag, but unfortunately, he didn't have enough fuel. Same with Seth Cole. That's going to really call into question if they're going to be good on gas. Kyle Matthews still out on track as your leader, but David Rivera is closing in. White flag will be displayed right now. White flag is out. Do these guys have enough gas? Didn't see anybody else. Oh, and I just heard someone scrape the wall. Not sure as to what was going on with that, but doesn't look like anybody else is going to come in the pit road. It looks like these guys are going to get to be good to go. Apologize for the phone ringing, but coming out of turn 4, Kyle Matthews wins the Music City 400 at Nashville in a crazy turn of events at the end of the race. Holy cow, I can't believe that. A heartbreak for Chase Oliver. Had this race possibly won, and he had to come into pit road with 3 laps to go and lost. But holy cow, that was crazy. But let's look at the rest of the results as congratulations to Kyle Matthews. David Rivera, great finish in the second position. Highest finishing rookie, Connor Morgan in third. But look at the two guys behind them. Two of the other three Team Heel Motorsports cars finished in the top 5. Steven Guerrero fourth and Matt Skoenberger in fifth. It would have been all guys in the top 10, but Chase Oliver unfortunately had to pit. But anyways, Matt McIntyre with a solid performance in 6th. PJ Williams gets his first top 10 finish of the season in 7th. Great run for Dylan Young in 8th. Dylan Thoreau with a solid 9th. And Michael Norman, great run in 10th. Rest of the top 20 was Tim Walsh, Nathan Hudson, Preston Blord, Joshua Collard, Zach Rogers, James McLeod, Pichu London, Michael Walton, Kyle Keith, Jessica Shelton. Rest of the lead lap cars were DJ Curtis, Austin Mongold, Austin LaPlante, Jesse Setti, Carson Gum, Sean Galligan, Benjamin Miles, Kevin Shearer. The next 4 cars finished a lap or more down, and they were Chase Oliver, who unfortunately suffered a huge heartbreak, Seth Cole, Trent Dunham, and Chris Washer. Everybody else was out of the race after our one and only caution, and they were Tanner Sullivan, Anthony McCrory, Zach Flickinger, Alex Ferranti, James Qualls, Johnny Gardner, John Cittadino, Carson Scott, Charles Sanford, and Dorian Facepuncher. So that does it for our coverage tonight here at Nashville, and that concludes Tennessee Trifecta for the second season in a row. Next week, we return to short track racing. We're going for the first time either ever or since season 1, Richmond International Raceway for the Chevy Rock and Roll 400. And the schedule leads on for All-Star break, because after Richmond will be Talladega, then Kansas, and then Dover. And then we get to All-Star weekend at Dragonette, so that's going to be interesting. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Here are your results, rookie points and regular points heading into Richmond, and this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.